I was like, yeah, I just don't feel motivated. And you're like, yeah, that's for children. I'm like, what do you mean that's for children? And you explained it in a way where I was like, dang, like, you're right. You get up every single day and you go and you earn money. If you have the discipline, not the motivation, the discipline, even when you're sick, when you don't want to get up and go to work every day, you can get up and you can go to the gym. You can get up and do your meals every 3 hours. And if you just do that and you hold yourself accountable and you have the discipline, you'll achieve the goal plus more. I did not even think I was going to come near the goal that I actually achieved with you guys.
Mr. Rex Hudson, the man, the myth, the legend, quite frankly.
You're giving too much credit right there.
I don't know. I still remember your before and after pictures, man. I can still think back to, I don't know how long ago that was, but I still remember that. People still see those before and after pictures now and they're like, holy crap, like what the hell? So, no, listen, dude. Look, first of all, it's great to see you again. You're still looking at.
I'm glad to be on this. Yeah, no, I think I was like around 280 pounds. I think when I first contacted you guys, give or take around that area.
Yeah, I mean, you're a big dude. I mean, I remember those first pictures, and you were. I mean, I'm not going to say you were overweight. I mean, you had fat to lose, obviously. Like that's but. The transformation I think you had, I can still picture the after picture. First of all, I mean, look, we know each other, but everybody listening hasn't got a clue what's going on. So let's go back a step. For the sake of people listening and watching, look, first of all, tell us a bit about who you are, what you do, like, where you live, what you do for work. And I guess also what it was at the beginning or what it was before you came and found us that made you think, I kind of want to maybe get some help towards this goal. So give us a bit of insight about all those things.
Oh, okay. So my name is Rex Hudson, and I'm the CEO of Steel River. And yeah, I was definitely overweight, and I was seeking some sort of advice. And you had me a little nervous there when you first introduced yourself. Like, we can help you with that. I'm like, I don't know. Like, you have to give yourself the opportunity to take chances, because if you don't take that chance, that opportunity is going to go out the window. And you're never going to honestly progress. No, I live in Indiana in the United States. And by far, one of the best things I ever did was go ahead and take that chance and join the team and everything back. I think it was like 3 years ago, give or take. It's been some time. But ever since that moment where you and Shanna actually showed me how to honestly eat and what muscle failure meant, because my version of muscle failure was definitely not your version. It was like, go and do 12 to 18 reps and, do 4 sets and go to the next machine. No, true muscle failure. Like I started taking your guys' advice and, I'll do repetitions of, let's say the tricep pull down. I'll do a low weight, 60, 70 repetitions of that. And you go until you honestly want to collapse and kill yourself. But I still follow by the rules and everything that you guys have set to maintain basically the physique I currently have, which I've bulked up quite a bit and I've been trying to do some new things. Definitely miss, I guess, the check-ins a little bit. The
accountability check-ins.
Yeah.
The weekly check-ins. Yeah.
The accountability by far is what I think really got me to where I actually got to have that physique and I got to compete.
I think it's, and I mean, you said some wonderful things there, and this is one of the things we hear quite often, which is something along the lines, I thought I was doing things okay, and that could be with nutrition, that could be with training. I thought I was doing things the way I was supposed to be doing. And then it's like, okay, well, there aren't wrongs or rights. There's just maybe better versions of things we could be doing. And so what you said there, like what most people think they're training hard. And we're like, No, there's many levels to this that we can go up to, and it's relevant to an individual, right? There are some people who will come in and we don't want them to maybe necessarily train up to and past failure because it might not be beneficial for that person as an individual. You certainly had muscle mass. You were a strong, naturally strong individual. So we know that as long as we've got you training well and safely, we could drive you all the way to failure. And we knew that the response that your body would have, given all the, given the nutrition that we'd put in place, was going to be great. We didn't know it was going to be as great as it was because I remember, like I say, you got to a point and the transformation is like, it was amazing. What you also said about the check-ins, it's one of those things that, I mean, you were here. I don't remember exactly how long. I think you did a full. I think you achieved everything inside 6 months, didn't you? I think you came, did 6 months, like ticked all boxes, and were like, "Cheers, guys!" And off you. And I think you did everything. Like you did it, got done so quick. But even inside, that's 6 months worth of weekly check-ins, which becomes nearly it becomes a foundational part of your week, doesn't it? It's like it would have been on a Wednesday probably for you. So Tuesday, Wednesday, you're getting ready, you do your check-in. Thursday somewhere, you get your reply, and then you've got your marching orders for the next week. Now we know that when someone ends, which is fine, and obviously that check-in, that accountability is taken away. Quite often for people, that is worryingly a catalyst for people to go backwards very quickly because suddenly that external voice has suddenly disappeared, and it's suddenly like people then want to, and we want them to be able to hold themselves accountable, but it is difficult for humans to hold themselves accountable. I mean, how did that seem for you after you stopped once those check-ins? Because obviously it's a sharp stop, isn't it? It's like you check in 1 week and then you don't. So how did you find that transition afterwards?
To be honest, it's just you have to honestly ask yourself if you're as disciplined as you want to be. And one of the things you said a long time ago when I mentioned something about motivation, I was like, yeah, I just don't feel motivated. And you're like, yeah, that's for children. And I'm like, what do you mean that's for children? And you explained it in a way where I was like, dang, like, you're right. You get up every single day and you go and you earn money. If you have the discipline, not the motivation, the discipline, even when you're sick, when you don't want to get up and go to work every day, you can get up and you can go to the gym. You can get up and do your meals every 3 hours, like Shanna or you have told us to. And if you just do that and you hold yourself accountable and you have the discipline, you'll achieve the goal plus more. I did not even think I was going to come near the goal that I actually achieved with you guys.
Funny enough, because the last podcast I did, I think last but one, actually, the gentleman said the same thing. I think he's seen a video where I'd said recently, motivations for kids. And it's just, I guess it's just a thing that I don't necessarily mean it specifically that. What I do mean is we have nothing to do with motivation here. Like we don't use it as a tool for two reasons. One, it doesn't technically exist. We could say it's kind of dopamine and adrenaline. We know what being motivated feels like. We could all certainly say that. It's normally the excitement to start something. Like we would like, I've just bought a new car. I feel motivated to go and drive it. It's like excitement to go and do it. Well, we also know that motivation is one, it doesn't technically exist, and two, it's clearly not very reliable because what we hear is I've lost my motivation or I can't find my motivation. Can't find my motivation. People talk about motivation like they've lost it down the back of the sofa. Like it's not a thing that you don't lose it down the back of the sofa and go and find it. So therefore, if we're going to go off and achieve goals, we want to rely upon tangible things, habits, behaviors, lifestyle, momentum, discipline. Discipline is this task will get me to the goal, and I'm going to do the task whether I really feel like it or not. That's it. That's discipline. And that beats motivation every day of the week. It's taking an action that the version of us tomorrow will thank us for. That's discipline. I really don't want to get up this morning and cook my food and do my steps. But me tomorrow will thank me for doing it because maybe tomorrow I'll feel different, right. And I think it's the discipline. And it's not super exciting some days, is it? It's not super sexy some days. It's like some days it's quite frankly like dragging ass across the floor. It's like, I don't want to do any of this stuff. And it's not, some days it's not fun. And interestingly, sometimes the more not fun and exciting it is, means the more stable we are in the journey towards our goal. I say this with business. Look, you're a CEO. Maybe you get this. Like business to me shouldn't be exciting. It should just be steady away. If
Yeah.
it's exciting, that means something's going wrong. Like if it's really exciting because we're having to fix a problem, it shouldn't be a problem. If it's really exciting because things are going too well, oh, things never go too well for too long. It should just be steady away, like equilibrium in the middle. You know what I mean? And I think the same thing when it comes to, hunting down physique, wellness, longevity type goals. They're all long-term goals, and we should be able to put things in place that we're like, I could kind of see myself doing this for months, if not years. That's the thing. And I think it's then just the discipline to go. I mean, I wake up. Well, I wake up at 3 o'clock every morning, go bathroom, get back in bed. I'm like, go back to sleep, and then I then wake up about every half an hour until like 4:30. I'm like, no, okay, sod it, I'll get up, and then I'm like, I want to go to the gym. I don't know if it's motivation. I just want to go to the gym because I just enjoy it. Like it's a thing that I found that I enjoy. I don't think it's motivation. I'm just like, I'm looking forward to going to the gym. Some days I wake up and I'm way more tired than others. You will know, like you wake up and like, okay, I've woken up anyway. Well, I might as well go to the gym. And some days I'll be like, shall I have a rest day? I think I could possibly take a rest day today. I think, and then you start to go, yeah, I could get a rest day. Like tomorrow, I don't technically need to train tomorrow. I'll get up and do something like arms or cardio. That would be my rest day. But I think the idea of just being super disciplined, because that'll serve you for. I mean, look, you've just said it's been 3 years ish, we think, since you've probably been in, and you're still doing many of the things that we advise and encourage you to do. Motivation hasn't got you 3 years down the road, has it? Of course it hasn't. Like anybody listening to this will know that motivation is a honeymoon period.
Alphas, I interrupt this show with a simple message. This show is here to benefit you and your progression to the best version of yourself. But not only just you, it's also here to benefit the people around you, your loved ones, your friends, other alphas in your vicinity. So why not do a really cool thing today? Something that I would thank you for and maybe someone else would. Share this podcast with at least one other alpha out there who you know would benefit from it. Why not share the information, share the ability for someone else to grow? I'm sure they would thank you. I 100% would absolutely thank you. This podcast only grows by our listeners, our followers doing amazing things like giving us 5-star reviews, downloading podcasts, subscribing, and then, of course, sharing it with other people. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Share it with one person, and, of course, drop us a 5-star review, download the podcast, and, of course, subscribe. And now back to the show.
What are the things that you've ring fenced? Like, this has worked. There's no way I'm going to do it differently. This thing is so good. Like, what are there any particular things like that you can share that are now like maybe bedrocks in your life, things that you just know that you wouldn't change?
Yeah, every 3 hours. Every 3 hours, I have to intake a clean protein, and you and Shannon really got that embedded in my head and everything. And you explained it in one of your. I don't think it was a podcast at the time, because this is a little different than what we used to do. Where you explained, the protein synthesis drops about every third to fourth hour, and you got to spike it. And
yeah, so it goes cyclically up and down, right? Like that thing, yeah, yep.
And I mean, I've been a little undisciplined here and there in going to the gym, but if you can at least maintain the discipline in your nutrition, then you're still golden for the most part. I mean, of course, you need to get off your ass and you really need to go to the gym. Yeah, that's a given right there.
Here's the reality. I mean, look, you carry way more muscle than I do. You get to a point where, when you've trained for so many years, muscle tends to hang around a bit easier. You're like as you're building it and you're really trying to build into new muscle, the new muscle that you build, you can drop back quite easily and lose it. But once you've got to a certain level of muscle mass, it just seems, and you've got a certain amount of like muscle maturity, like old man muscle, we call it. Like it just seems to hang around, but it wouldn't do if you didn't eat. So the muscle will sort of stay there as long as you keep the protein in. And you could miss a session here or there in terms of the gym. You're not going to suddenly start going backwards. You're not 22. You're not going to suddenly go backwards flying in muscle. But the eating thing, so you've now got this bedrock of like every 3 hours, you're getting clean protein in. So I imagine you're probably intaking quite a few calories a day at the moment, right?
Yeah. It varies based off the day, because like currently I'm moving everything from one house to another. So, when you have something like that going on, you're like, shoot, I didn't count this, and this, but at least I'm intaking the protein. But yeah, no, I think, oh man, I think I was, during the winter, I believe I was averaging 4,500 calories.
Yeah, I can imagine. Easy. Yeah. I don't know where you got to in terms of, when you were with us, but I know that one thing we always try to do is get someone's calories as high as we can, because if we can get someone's calories as high as we can, options, loads of options. If most people, interestingly, most people, when they come to us, end up actually, they start by actually under eating. And we're like, for the goal you want, you need to be eating more. And they're like, oh yeah, but I want to lose some body fat. We're like, yeah, but you can't diet less than what you're eating. We've got to build those calories up, get muscle mass in place, and then we've got options. And so, if you got to a point where you were at 4,500 and wherever you are now, and maybe maintaining body weight, that's a great thing. And so, looking off into the future, obviously you're moving at the moment, but once that's all settled, I mean, if you got physique goals that you want to chase down, are you trying to just stay where you are? Obviously, summer's coming. Are you pushing to get leaner, add muscle? Like, what's on the target right now for you?
I've just been kind of experimenting a little bit lately. Just it's really a couple buddies of mine who sent me videos and everything, which sparked the conversation from earlier. I guess I technically still want to get a little bigger, but I want to stay lean, and that's extremely difficult to do.
Yes. It's the holy grail for all men: more muscle, less fat. Like you could line up 100 dudes from all different walks of life and be like, if you could tick off some physique goals, what would it be? Well, I'd like to be a bit bigger and leaner. It's the same. We're all exactly the same. And interestingly, they're like, that's like sailing your ship in two absolute opposite directions, isn't it? Like those things, even for people with the genetic 1% can do both at the same time. Well, for the rest of us, we have to focus on one or the other directions, go after that, and then turn the ship around and go back. It's still the most effective long-term way to do it. So you're still driving forward and looking to improve the physique, man. All the props to you. Like you're CEO of a business, you're moving house, and you're like, yeah, I still want to get bigger and leaner. I love that. I love that. Absolutely awesome.
You have to have goals, and in all honesty, after I worked with you guys and I got on stage for the first time, the look at my daughter's face and my kids' faces and everything was ecstatic. And really, that's something that you can't honestly get rid of. So I felt like from there on, I need to be better, or I need to continue being an example to my kids. And that was something you and I discussed a couple years ago. The reason why I wanted to lose all that weight was to be a proper example.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you mentioned that. I think it's, if all the guys I speak to and who come into the program, all have personal goals to want to look good for themselves. But I would say, I don't know, 80-90% of the men that come into the program, married, got kids, etc. And, if asked, they would all say, I want to be a role model to my kids. It'll be actually, I want to be a role model to my kids, to anybody around me, to the people who I manage in the business. Like, it's about actually being a role model and a catalyst to anybody around the individual, but certainly children, because I tend to think this one thing. Anybody else can disagree with this, I don't mind, but in my view as a parent, it wouldn't be our job to give our kids the things we didn't have, but teach them the things we didn't know. We're supposed to accelerate them beyond us quicker, right? I think part of one of the many things, I think, but our children, there's a point where our kids go through and they would look at their dad and mom and they're like, they're superheroes. Our parents, when we're kids, at one point, our parents are superheroes and we believe everything that they tell us, right or wrong. But unknowingly, as parents, we are teaching our kids how to become a young person, a young adult, in the simplest little thing: mannerisms, how we talk, how we treat ourselves. If a parent is talking a certain way about health, wellness, body, exercise. You know, if a parent is not exercising, kids just think, well, that's it, right? Parent, you know, we other people exercise. That's for weird people to do outside. We don't actually do that. And then all of a sudden, the trajectory of that child's health and wellness goes off in the wrong direction. And so to have the opportunity to have that positive impact on ultimately on a young person's life to send them in the right direction, like is there a better thing to do? You know, because you've got out of it the ability to go off and change your physique, your life, your wellness, you as an individual. But I bet if you think back to, I don't know, when, you know, you're on stage, stepped off stage or something and your kids see you, there would have been a look in their eyes where they're like, my dad's a superhero. Something like there'd have been so much adoration. And although they wouldn't know what it is, but it's probably pride in that you are their dad. Like that's something you can never have taken away from you. And I think that's an amazing thing. 3 years later, do they still look at you like that?
Yes, actually, no. My of the 3 kids that I do have, my daughter, which is kind of weird for me because I wasn't expecting that of any of my kids. My daughter was the one that said she wanted to step on stage eventually because I know she saw some of the other women up there that went on stage as well. And my oldest son, he doesn't really care about stepping on stage or anything, but he has definitely asked me for a lot of tips and advice on how to obtain a physique as he gets older. Now, he's only 12, but he's a very mature 12-year-old.
The thing is, I mean, at that age, although, you know, yeah, it's still super young, we both know that having, well, one, future-proofing your health is obviously an absolute no-brainer. And even starting from that age, it's like how much easier a 12-year-old could make their 40s, 50s, and 60s by you know, starting to look after themselves now. But also, inherently, having a physique, so a physique that is under a certain level of body fat, has good posture, works well that gives an individual, men and boys and girls, self-esteem and self-confidence. Now, self-esteem and self-confidence will take an individual wherever they want to go. Now, whether that's standing up at the front of the class for a recital, whether that's getting on stage for a class play, whether that's going for a job interview, whether that's whatever it might be, I think that self-confidence and self-esteem generally comes from the mind, but let's be honest, we know that humans judge each other like instantly. And what do we judge each other on? The way we look. Like we all know that to be true. Like so although it's not, people say, oh, you know, I don't want to be vain. I'm like, okay, swap the word vain for self-esteem. They're so much the same thing, but while one has a kind of negative connotation, one has like we would never wish another human low self-esteem. We certainly wouldn't wish our kids low self-esteem. So where do they get it? By looking after their body. If their body looks and performs well, self-esteem goes up, doors will open in front of them. Life will become easier. And you get to turn around and say, I played a small part in that, right? And I think that's, man, dude, I love it. I love it. Listen, I know that you're busy. I know that you're in the middle of, you know, moving house and moving stuff around. So I'm not going to hold you up any longer. I think it's been absolutely amazing to talk to you again. Obviously, thanks for, you know, sort of, you know, saying yes to coming on. And I know there'll be many guys listening to this that will have found that really, really insightful and will be an inspiration to them. And look, you know, obviously we stay in contact, and I think we're connected on social. So by all means, you know, keep me updated on the getting bigger, getting leaner. Like I want to see. I'm always looking forward to seeing how you get on. But listen, Rex, my man, absolute pleasure to talk to you again.
I appreciate it.
I'm gonna let you get back to your day, sir. All right, have a good one.
All right, hey, you too.
Cheers, man. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.